war between Universe 11 and Universe 7 continues as Frieza furthers his battle with Dispo as an unexpected assist is made by Gohan as he steps in to assist Frieza against Dispo in battle, only to leave 17 behind against Toppo, while both Vegeta and Goku are left battling against Jiren at full power with only minutes remaining until the clock strikes 0. The question on everyone's mind is, did Gohan get the job done against Dispo? What is going on, Dragon Ball fans? Welcome to my Dragon Ball Super episode 124 review entitled A Fiercely Overwhelming Assault, Gohan's Last Stand, leading into next week's exciting episode of Dragon Ball Super episode 125, which of course is going to involve Toppo and seeing firsthand just what Toppo is capable of as he begins to release his God of Destruction power, which a lot of us have been wondering ever since the inception of the Universe Survival arc as to how strong Toppo truly is, as we only ever saw a glimpse of Toppo's power against Goku during the Zen exhibition match, but now, going into next week's episode, Toppo's going to begin to reveal what he can truly do. And again, if you guys like the Dragon Ball content that I provide on this channel, then make sure you guys punch that subscribe button with notifications enabled to be the first to receive all the latest in Dragon Ball content and be a part of the Dragon Ball squad. And also, don't forget to follow me on these social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, to stay connected with me at all times, hashtag Dragon Ball Squad, as we roll into Dragon Ball Super episode 124. And to everyone's surprise, in case you guys are unaware, it was made official just a few days ago that Dragon Ball Super is officially ending after Dragon Ball Super episode 131. I talked about this on a separate video on the channel. In case you guys have not checked it out, the link to that will be located down in the description box, where it pretty much details as to why this is happening. And it's very sad because this just means that the Universe Survival arc is only going to have a handful of episodes left until it is officially over. So episode 124 kicks off, guys, and what an episode it was, having to detail Gohan's assistance with Frieza, which I really did enjoy. We haven't really seen that since we saw Gohan and Frieza have that confrontation during the episode where Frost got erased, but nonetheless, we kick off Dragon Ball Super episode 124 exactly where we left off, with both Goku and Vegeta staring Jiren down, and Jiren is unfazed by both Goku and Vegeta despite both of them having to achieve a higher level of power. It's very interesting how Beerus even noted that for Universe 7 to win, they have to defeat Jiren. And during this engagement, Goku even said it himself, according to Herms, that Jiren is unquestionably the strongest person they've ever fought, but as soon as they engage against Jiren, it seems like nothing is working. Goku and Vegeta are exchanging shots, Beerus is screaming, and both of the Omni Kings are just at awe because the pace in which Goku and Vegeta are engaging with Jiren is just on an unbelievable level. And despite what both of them are doing, he literally just stands there and just deflects all of their attacks, even to the point where Vegeta and Goku unleashed a very short but long-range Kamehameha / Final Flash, and Jiren, without even blocking, just took the hit head on, which again, to nobody's surprise, we saw prior to the Genki Dama and the Final Flash by Vegeta. And then all of a sudden, we see Jiren emerge from this massive wall of energy, and again, he's unscathed. And I think that one of the main reasons as to why they're engaging Jiren so much is because they're obviously setting up for Ultra Instinct Goku, because you can tell based on the pacing alone that as they're encountering and engaging against Jiren, he just doesn't seem to be amused at all. He's actually welcoming both Goku and Vegeta, as Dispo was overlooking the actions of Jiren, Goku, and Vegeta, as right after he sets his sights on Frieza. Now, the fight with Frieza, I think, was more interesting than the fight with Goku and Vegeta and Jiren, because with this fight, we get to see how as Dispo's engaging, Frieza doesn't seem to be phased at all. And Frieza actually says that, just like Goku said earlier, Dispo's movements are very direct and they're very predictable. So it looks like in this episode, Frieza had finally figured out how Dispo moves, how he operates, with his movements having to be very predictable. And that was actually one of Dispo's many downfalls as he was fighting Hit, because as he was predictable, he was actually exposed during battle by Goku when they first engaged each other during episode 104. And now all of a sudden, we see Dispo how he's able to increase his body speed even more so to where he's pushing Frieza back. Now, I said this in a prior video to where I personally feel that Frieza ought to get pushed back by Dispo, at least in his final form, and that's seemingly what happened early on, because Dispo actually unleashed a very unique attack that brought me back to Gotenks, where Dispo fired off like this circular like ring, and it pretty much brought Frieza down to his knees. But Frieza, unscathed, undamaged, he grabs Dispo with his tail and he just chucks him on down onto the ground. So this is scary. This is so scary because while Frieza was engaging against Dispo was taunting him. He was saying, well, what about you predicting my movements now? And after Frieza had the upper hand, Frieza was the one taunting Dispo and saying that he won't be able to beat Goku, Vegeta, or anyone else with the remaining time, and actually telling Dispo that it's over, that he's been able to pretty much figure him out from the beginning, but more or less wanted to toy around with him. But even then, Frieza finally makes the claim in wanting to have his resurrection be bestowed upon Universe 11 if he of course helps them win, and pretty much telling Dispo that they can't beat Goku and Vegeta on their own, they need help. And Frieza was pretty much trying to make a bargain with Dispo, as we already originally knew that obviously Dispo wasn't going to accept. As he declines Frieza, he pretty much says, you just want to use me, that way you're the only one to survive, I've already figured you out. And since Frieza has already been exposed with his plan having to be, you know, pretty much him having to be the only one in the ring, he begins to turn golden. So with that being said, we finally have Golden Frieza in the tournament, hopefully enough permanently as we narrow on down with the few episodes remaining. So during this confrontation, we finally get to see how once Frieza goes into his golden form, he goes on to state, I guess I have no choice but to beat you using my full power. In which, of course, for those who haven't picked up on it before, they actually reused a lot of the same animation from episode 104 and whatnot. But what was interesting about the first part of this episode was the way Frieza was challenging Dispo and saying, okay, now it's time for round 2. And what I really enjoyed about this was the ominous music, Sumitomo's music, because it made everything that much more intense. And Dispo, to Dispo's credit, early on in the beginning, he actually got the first hit on Golden Frieza. But as soon as Golden Frieza made contact to Dispo, Dispo just ended up just getting tossed all around the ring. And what I really enjoyed about this is what I wanted to see as a fan. I wanted to see Dispo push back Final Form Frieza, more so in which forces Frieza in using his golden power, because in the tournament so far, Frieza hasn't really done anything of importance, but now, as soon as he unleashes his golden form, now he's beginning to put the beats on Dispo. But the only downside to Frieza, once again, is the fact that he was taunting Dispo, he was making fun of him, he was gloating about how Dispo was inferior and saying, oh, so you're only this fast, I see. And this pretty much enticed Dispo in using his inner power to push back Golden Frieza. And even while watching this, I really wasn't sure as to how I felt, because with Dispo having to blitz Frieza, in which that's what he was doing, it was incredible to see, because for the first time, other than Goku and Vegeta, we see Frieza getting pushed back by another character that isn't a Saiyan. So with Dispo having to push Frieza back, I found that very interesting, because as the battle took place, Dispo starts emitting a very strange ki that essentially threw everybody off guard. And what I found also very interesting was on the God Pad, we finally get to see how in some way, shape, or form there are cameras installed, so the Omni Kings are able to watch the entire battle on their little God Pads, which I didn't really find too, logical, because again, it's like, where the heck are the cameras in the stage? It didn't make any sense, but it was what it was. That was the only thing I really didn't get about the Omni Kings watching all of this on their God Pad. You can only assume that as deities, they could watch everything as they're sitting down with their very own eyes, but instead they're watching it via a God Pad. But as Dispo's fighting Frieza, it really threw me off guard how Dispo then was beginning to push Frieza towards the edge of the ring as they were engaging each other, and Beerus began to panic. And the first person that noticed this was Gohan, because he knew that Frieza was in trouble and he left 17 on his own. Now 17, while engaging Toppo, pretty much led Toppo off somewhere else, while Gohan came in and deflected one of Dispo's punches from ringing out Frieza. Now it's arguable if in fact Frieza was going to be wrung out at this point. I really doubt that's the case. I really don't think that this whole time Frieza was truly trying, but by the end of the day, after, Gohan made the save, Frieza says that he might betray Gohan, but Gohan says that he'll beat him if that happens. And Frieza was very conniving, because he thanks Gohan, but he tells him, hey, I might betray you, you better watch yourself. And Gohan not backing down and saying, you know what, if you do that, I'll handle you. So for now, we have to redirect our focus to this other character. So as they were engaging Dispo, what I really enjoyed was, for the first time, I think at least, we finally got to see the combination of Gohan and Frieza in the tournament, as opposed to when they originally fought Frost. They really weren't working together, but more or less fighting each other. But here, what I really enjoyed was Frieza fires off a barrage of beams as Dispo aimed for Gohan, and the beams apparently to Dispo were so slow that nothing was able to catch him. Even with Gohan assisting Frieza in firing off some ki blast as well, Gohan noticed that Dispo is so fast that not even Golden Frieza and his own blasts could even remotely phase him because of his speed. But then as they're firing off at Dispo, Gohan begins to notice something. He's paying close attention, and what I really enjoyed is Gohan's plan was to essentially, as I stated before in my predictions video, to cage Dispo in while Gohan was handling him in the midst of battle. So Frieza during that part agreed to keep them both trapped in, and what I really enjoyed about Frieza is we've never seen this death beam like cage. It was interesting because Dispo had nowhere to go, and as Gohan got punched in the stomach, he was there essentially trapped with Dispo in a do or die situation. So they had to do this remotely just because they needed to trap Dispo in and not allowing him to escape their moves, and because the whole time Dispo was just evading everything that they were doing. And what I really enjoyed was how Gohan was able to push Dispo back so much so to where his back kind of like skid off of the death beam a little bit, so he actually felt the pain. And this was something very interesting because even the gods, you know, such as Belmont and the Kaioshin, pointed out that Frieza can't really keep this up for too long, and you get to see it, you know, based on Frieza's face, that he's having not a difficult time holding that cage off, but more or less like it's really difficult to even maintain this while Gohan is fighting Dispo, because we really don't know what the end result of this fight was going to be, with Frieza having to keep that cage together while Gohan was fighting Dispo. So the only other way to beat this guy was to have Frieza maintain that cage, and we see him kind of getting dragged along through this, and Gohan, to his plan, because Gohan's a strategist, and that's what I really enjoyed about this, was the fact that this was Gohan's plan, and Frieza was shaking and trying to keep the cage together, and Gohan finally grabs Dispo and starts beating him up. I mean, his goal was to drop Dispo out the arena before Frieza's little cage can actually just run out. So, you know, Belmont's actually scared, and so is the Kai, because the Kaioshin are all like, wait a minute, this is really effective, this is really working on Dispo. And Belmont's screaming, Belmont's angry, and our boy Gohan kicks Dispo so hard to where Dispo goes flying into Frieza's cage. And that's when Gohan, once again, as Dispo is there, pretty much trapped against the cage, Frieza releases the beams, and as Gohan goes for the final punch, Dispo, to Dispo's credit, he goes down, he ducks Gohan's punch, and he evades him. And just as that happens, Gohan grabs him in a chokehold. So it was more or less like a quick, fast-paced kind of like evasion, because as Gohan missed his punch, Dispo countered, but then Gohan grabbed Dispo, and as soon as he did, we get to see how, you know, pretty much Gohan was telling Frieza, do it, you have to do what you have to do. And Gohan appears to be in the stands and apologizes because his whole plan was to wring Dispo out by any means necessary. And that's essentially what they have done, is seeing Frieza use his death beam and knocking both Dispo and Gohan out of the ring. So it was a necessary sacrifice. I didn't really expect to see Gohan get wrung out this early, but Gohan sacrificed himself in knowing the fact that Dispo was really powerful in the form of speed, that he had no other option but to take him down with him. So Gohan's at the stands, he's apologizing, and what I really enjoyed about this was towards the finale, it ends off with Goku looking out over towards his son and being happy and being proud of his son for doing what he did. But in the end, I would like to know what you guys have to say down in the comment section below. What did you guys think about this episode? What did you guys think about the interaction between both Goku and Vegeta, Gohan and Frieza? Seeing the way Dispo fought, you gotta give him credit, because even though a lot of people deemed Dispo to be weak, other people have deemed him to be a very important asset to Universe 11, which I always thought from the get-go, but it's just really hard for me to conceive that Dispo is relative to Golden Frieza or Super Saiyan Blue Goku. But Dispo put on an amazing show, and I think that overall, with the episodes having to near the end, coming towards 131, it's kind of sad to see how everything is going to be closing off and how everything just feels kind of rushed in a sense. comments. But with that being said, I want to know your thoughts down below as to what your overall expectations are for Dragon Ball Super episode 125, for your thoughts of episode 124 as well. Thank you all so much for watching, guys. Once again, if you guys are new to this channel, don't forget to go on ahead and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications if you guys enjoyed. Slap a like down below. Tune back in for the predictions video, and I'll be seeing you all down in the comment section below. Cue my outro, bitch.